What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Behind the Glass Sports Podcast.
Nice.
Happy Saturday. Thanks for tuning in. Shout out to Eric Kemp for joining us in the YouTube chat already. What is that? I thought that was one of your dogs for a second. It was just hovering behind you. Golly. This was terrifying. I was like, oh my god, your dog is about to fall. It's not your dog. We thank you guys for tuning in. Happy Saturday. We got a lot to get to today. I think Brandon's going to flip-flop on Jamal.
Nope.
Even though he's been killing him this whole time. So we'll get to that. Obviously, Jamal had a big day. I apologize in advance if there's any growling in the background from my end. My dogs hate each other, so just have to bear with me. I really need to get a better setup for how this microphone is in front of my face because it just blocks it all the time. How about that? Is that better? All right, cool. We could talk some Broncos. I don't know if there's anything relevant happening in Broncos land, but we could talk about that. Oh, the Watson thing. That's what's happening. They're now the odds-on favorite to land Deshaun Watson.
No, they're not.
So, boom. Yes, they are, according to
they're
Vegas. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
All right. I would have figured that you were running that franchise since, you like to trade franchise quarterbacks. Ah, yes. Right off the start. Got him. Boom. I might not be able to top that today. I might just have to leave at this point. That was good. Okay, yeah, we got a lot to get to today. Nuggets come off of a good win. I understand that you have a comparison that you'd like to talk about with Jamal Murray. So before we get to that and you backpedaling or whatever, you're doubling down. I don't know what you're going to do yet. We'll recap the game real quick. The Denver Nuggets completely obliterate the Cavaliers, who they got swept by last year, by the way. So I'm expecting next season we'll completely obliterate the Kings since we have been swept by the Kings this year. So look out, Sacramento. Your time is coming. 120-103 was the score last night. Jamal Murray had a monster game. Oh, by the way, yesterday was Nikola Jokic's 26th birthday. I am so glad he is a Denver Nugget. I just wish we could just be best friends already. If he ever needed a cook, a chef, or a janitor in his apartment, I'd totally do it. If he would just put that job on Indeed, I would apply. I think I have great references. If he needed anything, someone to walk his dogs, someone to pick up his dog's poop for him, I'd do that. So I'm just saying. But anyways, happy birthday, Nikola Jokic. He had a triple-double yesterday, and it was one of those triple-doubles where it was 16 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists, where he just does absolutely nothing, which I think is his favorite kind of triple-double. He had to do no work. I don't know, Kemp. I don't know if he has dogs. He might have cats. Whatever the Serbian national animal is, he probably has a few of those. So whatever it is, I'd take care of it. Pet lizard? Sure. Yeah. Even if it was a spider. I'm terrified of spiders. I would take care of his tarantula. I don't know how you take care of a tarantula, but I would take care of it. Do tarantulas get haircuts? Do you trim tarantulas? Or do you just leave their hair on? I don't know how that works.
I have no idea.
Yeah. But anyways, back to the game here. You get me off topic. Jamal Murray had 50 points last night. Probably the most efficient 50-point night in NBA history. 21 of 25. He took no free throws, which is an NBA record.
Yeah, he's the first player to do that. 50 points, no free throws.
Yeah, 50 points, and Joel Embiid had 50 last night, but I think he took some free throws, so it doesn't count. According to Google, it's a wolf. Even better. I love wolves. It's my favorite animal. So I would put my life at risk to take care of Nikola Jokic's wolf. That's what I'd be willing to do. But it was a great night for the Nuggets. Even MPJ, as many maybe have saw or have seen on Twitter.
Embiid, okay, wait, hold on. Embiid had 50 points. When most players get 50 points, they have a lot of free. He was 15 of 17. He had 17 free throws.
That's a lot.
How does Jamal not get one?
Well, because he shot threes the whole time. 24 of his 50 came from 8 times. Yeah, 24 of his 50 came from three.
So that means there's 26 more points,
right?
That he had.
Yeah, he likes to take jumpers. You know this.
Okay.
He had a dunk. He had a dunk.
Just saying.
He had a fadeaway. So I don't know. Maybe The Nuggets don't get foul calls, especially Jokic. I mean, you could slap Jokic in the face, and the rest would be like, play on. Not sure. Didn't see that one. But anyways, MPJ had a good game. I did reinstate the J on MP because I took it away after that 0 of 8 game.
I
I was
saw
like,
that.
there's no J in MP. He's now just MP. I've reinstated the J, but it's probationary. It's a lowercase J. So he has to prove it to me that he can earn back the big J, but the little J is there. Okay, so we're reinstating that for right now. But it was a great performance by the big three, if you want to call them that. But I will lend the floor to you. What is your Jamal Murray take that you apparently had an epiphany about it this morning?
Well, no, and the thing. So I've just been very. I think everyone knows this. I've been very frustrated. We both have been very frustrated with Jamal. It doesn't make sense because in my mind, how can you in the playoffs, in your first 2 playoff runs, average over 25 a game, pretty consistently? And at least the second year was. The first year was a little bit more up and down, but it was a lot more consistent than he was in the regular season. And then 2 months later in the regular season, be non-existent and completely inconsistent. And it's back to being that Jamal. So it's confusing. And, I think you started this. I agree. There used to be 2 different Jamals. Now there's 3, and you brought it up a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
There's streaming Jamal, DirecTV Jamal, and then cable Jamal.
Cable Jamal.
We've been getting cable Jamal for, pretty much all season.
For most of the season.
Yeah, it's been rare that we even got DirecTV Jamal. I'm pretty sure we've gotten streaming Jamal more than DirecTV Jamal, which is pretty sad. And so there's two ways that this can go with Jamal Murray and the rest of his career, the rest of the season, the rest of his career. He can be that guy. There's 3 different versions of Jamal Murray. The bubble Jamal, where we saw bubble Jamal last night. There's playoff Jamal, where he's averaging 25 plus consistently. And then there's regular season Jamal, where it just seems like he doesn't give a crap. So there is 3. And right now in the regular season, you get bubble Jamal or streaming Jamal about once every couple months, maybe twice, once a month. Then you get playoff Jamal maybe in big games. So like playing against Kyrie or maybe the Lakers or just weird games like this where it's, the Cavs, right? And then there's regular season Jamal, which we see all the time, which is, he'll arrive at the stadium, and if he feels like playing, he'll play. If not, which is most of the time, then he just won't. And we'll get his, patented 16 points on 18 shots. So that's what Jamal is right now, and that's what I think we're always gonna have with Jamal. And that's why if Washington offered it tomorrow, I would take Bradley Beal in a heartbeat, right? And at this point, hey, they can have MPJ too. But then I was thinking about this because it really doesn't make sense to me. Like, how can you have such a great playoff run in back-to-back years, be so good in the playoffs, and just do this in the regular season? It makes 0 sense because he has the talent. It's not like in the playoffs, it's just like it's a random thing. Like, oh, yeah, he had a really good playoff run. It's just 1 year. He's done it back-to-back years. We know who Jamal is. We know he has the talent. He's 6'5". He can play like a wing. Great handles. Can shoot the ball like crazy. He's a good passer. It makes 0 sense. He's a good defender too. He had a steal last night that led to a dunk. He's a good defender. So it makes no sense. And then this morning, I was thinking, you know what this reminds me of? I remember 2 years ago now, No, I guess like a year and a half ago. I remember on Twitter you were very frustrated with Nikola Jokic,
Hmm.
and it was about a month into the season, maybe two, probably two. It was like a month and a half to 2 months into the season, and he was struggling. I have it up here, the 2019-2020 season. He came out of the gate playing well. He had 20, 13 and 2, 23, 12 and 14. And then he fell off. 9 points, 10 points, 13, 29. He had a couple good games here and there, 26, 20. But then 18, 9, 18, 8, 8, 7, 6 points. Pretty sure it was after that 6-point game where you lost your mind. Um, and so it was really weird, right? It makes no sense because in the playoff run, we just saw him have one of the best first round playoff series that we've ever seen from a center. It
Mm.
made no sense. About 2 months in, and I remember on Twitter, I was like, you know what? He did this in 2018, the 2018-2019 season. For whatever reason, he's starting off slow. Makes no sense, but he'll figure it out 2.5 months into the season. So 2.5 months come in. 20 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists. 28, 12, and 14. 25, 10, and 5. 18, but 12 and 9. 22, 10, and 10. 22, 12, and 10. 31, 10, and 10. About 2.5 months into the season, had 47, 8, and 5. And then followed that up with a 33, 6, and 7 game. And then off we went with Nikola Jokic last season. And then continued into the bubble. So he did this back-to-back years. 2018, again, started off. He actually started off really well. 21, 8 and 5, and then 35, 11 and 11. But then he completely fell off. And through those 2 months, he had games of 4 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 7, 10, and 16, 8, 10, and 8, 4, 7,
Those were
and
dark
4.
days.
It was bizarre. And
November is historically his worst month in his career.
it's right, and he usually figures things out at the beginning of January. At least that was both those years. And late December, early January was when about 2 months, about 20 to anywhere between 20 and 20, or anywhere between 20 and 30 games is kind of what I'm seeing. So with Jamal, we're at game 27. Or they just had game 27. He's missed 2 this year. But it's made no sense throughout the whole year, right? He started off the year okay. I mean, the first game, no, but the second game, 23, 5 and 3, and then 21, 5 and 2. And then his fifth game of the year, he had 31. Sixth game of the year, he had 36. So it was like, okay, he's figuring it out. He's getting healthy, whatever. And then he falls off, right? And has these bad shooting games, blah, 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 blah. Well, over the last 5 games against Oklahoma City, he had 22, 5 and 5. And then against LA, he had 25, 6 and 4. And here's the thing. His shooting has gotten better. 3-point percentage against OKC was only 27 and 42 from the field. Against LA, he had 25, 6 and 4 on 40% from 3, 46 from the field. Against Boston, he had 25, 6 and 6, 3 steals, 50% from 3, 56% from the field. Against Washington, 35, 9 and 6. He shot 52% from the field, 50% from 3, and then last night, berserk, 84% from the field, 80% from 3. 50 points, 6 and 2. Obviously, that's not going to stay. He's not going to shoot 80%. But it's gotten better over the last 5 games. Similar to Nikola Jokic in 2018-2019 when things started to turn around for him after 2 months. He had it's kind of a stretch here where he had 24, 11 and 7 on 52% shooting. He didn't shoot a 3, or he missed 2. He had 27, 12, and 6 on 64% shooting. Then he had 24, 15, and 9, 26, 10, and 4, and then 32, 10, and 16, or 32, 16, and 4. So it kind of just got better and better. Now, as that year went on and as that month went on, he got better and better. By game 37, he was putting up 39, 12, and 6. And what's funny is that in 2019, guess how old Nikola Jokic was?
2018-19, he was 24, right?
He was 23.
23, okay.
And he had just turned 24 when he started to get things going. Jamal Murray is 23. And he's about to turn 24. We might so here there's two different ways this goes with Jamal Murray. It goes what we've seen and what we think is Jamal. There's three different ones, right? There's three different Jamal Murrays. Streaming, DirecTV, cable, or bubble, big game Jamal, playoff Jamal, and the regular season Jamal. Or he's doing the same, and it could be just this team and how they develop. He's going the same path as Jokic. At 23 years old, he starts off the dang season. 2 months into it, he starts off the season poor. Can't get anything going. What the hell? He just had a great playoff run. Makes 0 sense. And then he gets going after 2 months. And then the same thing next year. What the hell is going on? Great playoff run. Doesn't make sense. So those are the two different paths that he can go. I'm leaning towards the Jamal that we have right now, which is the three different Jamals. That's where I'm going to continue to think that we're going to have, because tomorrow, I guarantee you he has 16 points on 18 shots or whatever the hell he does. 12 points on 15 shots. But if not, and he has another really good game and he shoots the ball well, and he continues this throughout the rest of this month and into March, I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. It's right there. It makes sense.
It's an ironic kind of occurrence that both of Denver's two best players have had a similar trajectory.
Yeah.
The thing with Jokic though is that his issue was never inconsistency in terms of playing well offensively. That was never it.
It was being aggressive.
Was just, are you going to assert yourself?
Right.
Because we know when you assert yourself, you can, like he's doing now, he's dominating the league. He is unguardable. He is a 3-level scoring center who can play, make, and pass. He is an offensive genius. He's a future Hall of Famer, and I'm willing to come out now and say that. So it was never that with him.
Mm-hmm.
With Jamal, it's finding a way to be efficient and score in the way we know he can score. The issue has never been talent. Jamal doesn't suck. I don't think anybody says Jamal sucks. The issue, and what really frustrates me with Jamal, is you see nights like last night, but you see his whole month of February right now. And it's 35, it's 25, 25, 22. Like these last 5 games in particular, he's been playing great. Really, out of the 8 games in February, 6 of those, he's had 20 plus. 2 of those games, he's had 35 plus. And what did I say before the season? I don't need Jamal to do this every night, because that's just unrealistic. Nobody does this every night. Right. I don't need Jamal to be a 30-point per game scorer. I need him to at least be 21 to 25. That's where I think he can live. Now, credit to him, and this is another point of optimism I guess you can have as a Nuggets fan. Even though it doesn't feel great and it doesn't look great with Jamal, he's actually averaging career highs in points per game, and I think in true shooting percentage. He's actually elevating his game, even though it doesn't look great. My concern with Jamal is that he needs to find a way to be more efficient, and he needs to find a way to impact a game when his scoring isn't there. When it is a 7 of 17 night or an 8 of 19 or, something like that, he needs to find a way to dominate the game or impact the game in rebounding. These last 5 games, 6 rebounds, 9 rebounds, 6 rebounds, 6 rebounds, 5 rebounds. That's incredible. For a guard, at his size, he should be able to get those numbers. He should be right around 5 or 6, just like I have the expectation of MPJ to be at least at 8. a
Well,
game.
and getting steals. He's a good defender. He had 2 against
Sure.
Oklahoma City. He had 3 against Boston, 1 against Washington, and 2 last
Yeah.
night.
I mean, yeah, steals, sure, but also too, I think he can get better decision making because there's times in
Yeah.
games where he can like have a lapse where he turns it over twice
Well, he had
or
9
three
turn
times
he
in a row.
had 9 turnovers against
Yeah,
Boston.
and he needs to get better at that.
Yeah.
And it's not just assists; like his assists are up. For the whole month of February. I mean, this is his stat line in February. He's averaging 24 and a half points per game, 4.5 assists, 5.25 rebounds. If he can maintain some level of that, if he can hover in between 21 and 25 points per game, if he can maintain that for at least 3 to 5 assists a game, and if he can hover around 5, 6 rebounds a game, maybe like 4 to 6, perfect. That's the second wing that you need for Jokic.
Mm-hmm.
That takes everything because the whole issue here, and I think there's a lot of people, when you criticize Jamal, there's a lot of people that get upset about it. I'm criticizing Jamal because he was paid to be this guy. This is what he was paid to be, not the 50 point per game guy. He was paid to be 24 and a half, 4.5, 5 rebounds. That's what he was paid to be. That's max numbers, I think you can say. That's what Paul George is doing right now as the second wing in the Clippers. I don't know what Middleton's stats are, but I'm sure it's probably somewhere around that right now with Milwaukee. So that's what you need him to be. It's frustrating for me when I see Jamal do this stuff, and then you like you mentioned, you followed it up with the 15 points on 13 shot type of night. He has to find ways, and maybe it's still growing in the game. Even though I'm completely done with that. Like he's 5 years in. I'm not like, yeah, he's 23, he's gonna be 24, whatever. He's still young technically in life, but I mean he's a 5-year vet. He knows how this game goes. He knows the grind of it. He knows what the expectation is. So he's got to find ways to be more efficient and more better, especially since he got paid to be that. Like you, I still tend to lean toward we'll get more of an inconsistent Jamal until he proves us otherwise.
Right.
Now, I think there's probably times where I'm too hard on Jamal, where I expect too much of Jamal. But again, it's not like he has a talent and he's getting paid to do that.
Well,
So I think
yeah.
it's fair expectations to expect him to be a second star on this team.
Well, we know what he's capable of. We've seen it.
Exactly.
We haven't just seen it once or twice.
Yeah.
We saw it for a whole series. He
In the biggest-
won. He
In the biggest
won.
moments.
Yeah, they were down 3-1 to Utah. He won that series. He single-handedly won that series for the Nuggets, not Jokic. Now, Jokic had a big shot in Game 7.
Jokic did average like 28 still in that
Well,
series.
yes.
I get what you're saying.
Yes, but it was Jamal. Jamal
And
needed to put up 40 plus in that series, 50 plus.
Someone had to match Donovan.
So we know what he can do. And it wasn't just 50 points. He was getting 6, 7, 8 assists in those games, 6, 7, 8 rebounds a game. I mean, it was stupid. So we know what he can do because we've seen it not just here and there. We've seen it for a consistent stretch, ironically enough. So if he can do that in the biggest games of his life, then why can't he do it in the regular season? Now, I'm not saying 50 points a game, obviously, but why can't he average 24? Because honestly, that's the sweet spot, what he's averaging right now. And in these last 5 games, I mean, take away the 50-point game, but he's probably averaging right around 26, 27. So he's capable of doing it. Now, obviously, we got to see what happens the rest of this month, the rest of the season. But if he ends this season around 23, 24 points per game, that means that he, over these next 4 months, that means he averages 25 plus.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, then I'm going to chalk it up to this, what I just mentioned. It's the same age as Nikola Jokic when Jokic was going through this weird, bizarre start to the season thing of not showing up in games consistently. And all of a sudden, 2 months into it, it just flip switches. I don't know why. Maybe it's and look, here's the thing. Jokic would go home, he'd play summer basketball in Serbia, and he would also eat a lot. And I think that contributed to that, right? That contributed to the slow starts. Because then once he started getting in shape, 2 months into the year, he got things going. Well, with Jamal, I mean, he didn't want to play. He literally said it. He didn't like how soon they were starting the season.
Yeah. Well, he was angry on media day.
Yeah.
He admitted he didn't do anything basketball related in the offseason.
So it makes sense. Because everything else, this slow start makes zero sense. There is no reason why he should have had any sort of inconsistency throughout the season. Maybe one or two games here and there, right? But there's no other reason why after the games he had in the bubble to follow that up with what he's done so far this year. It makes zero sense. But he comes into the season not doing anything basketball related during the short off season. He's unhappy with how soon they're starting the year. He doesn't want to be there, obviously. He didn't care. And I think that's similar to Jokic being out of shape in the first 2 months and not really being there mentally either because he is out of shape. And he's had a long off season. Serbia and playing basketball over there and doing whatever. And I think the difference this year, they had two different reactions to the shortened offseason. Jokic didn't have an opportunity to kind of lose everything that he had gained over the last season, right? And even between the stoppage in March to the bubble, he lost weight. He made sure that he stayed in shape and got better. But in this offseason, he continued to do that, and not only that, but it was shortened. So he was ready to go. And so that's why he's had such a hot start to the year. So I think it's with young players and knowing how to use the offseason. That, I think, is something that a lot of players learn when they enter their prime. And I think that gets rid of a lot of inconsistency throughout the regular season.
Well, not only how to handle the off season, but just how to handle themselves in season. Because it's funny that you mentioned that, and it's really a natural transition. We could just get right here now, and we don't have to completely leave Jamal. But I thought this was interesting last night. Joel Rush, NBA on Twitter last night, put out a thread on Michael Malone because obviously Nikola Jokic. And first off, we haven't even mentioned this. Nikola Jokic makes it to his third straight All-Star game. He is now a starter. He's the first Nuggets starter. I forgot what year it was that Melo did it, but the first one since Carmelo. So,
probably
I mean, that's huge in itself.
Probably that last year, to be honest. I mean, he was a starter every year.
So, I mean, that's huge in itself. So, kudos to Jokic. I mean, it's what we already know about him. But essentially in this thread, and it's kind of long, so I won't like read it. But it just paraphrased that Jokic has had a change in mindset in how he not only approaches the offseason, but how he approaches like in season. Like Jokic, after every game, gets in a lift or works on his body somehow, some way. And Malone noted that it's now rubbed off onto everyone else. They see, wow, it's worked for this guy. I'm going to do this now. And for your best player to have that mentality and to do really a 180, because we saw Jokic come back from his max contract after signing that, and he came in, he was probably 300 pounds. I mean, when he sat down in the chair, you saw the love handles bulging over into his jersey. And it's like, what is this guy doing? And he played awfully. And then he ended up losing 25 pounds during the season. Season gets postponed, and he comes back, and, you know.
Another 50 pounds off.
Right. So it's like he's had a change in mindset. And I think, I don't know if that's true with Jamal, but I think Jamal.
That's the thing with Jamal, though. And again, doesn't make sense why he's had such a slow start, because we know not only the talent that Jamal has, but how he grew up and how his dad kind of
you hear about that a lot.
He kind of molded him into the player that the person, not even the player, the person who has that mentality, who like Jokic didn't have that. He kind of learned it. Jamal has always had it. We know that. We've heard all the stories. We've watched it all, and we see it in the playoffs. That's the Jamal that's who he is, and that's what makes it so frustrating because we know who he is. We know that it's not just he has a talent, but he's not mentally like he doesn't have that mentality. No, he has that mentality. So that's why this 3 different Jamals thing, it doesn't make sense because he's not that person. He has the talent to not be that guy. So it just everything about him screams 25 a game, 5-5. What he's doing in these last 5 games.
Yeah, he has the potential to be a top 5 guard in the league. Like he has that type of talent.
It's not just his talent though. It's his mentality too. It's his work ethic. It's all of it.
It's 2 players that had to and still have to, in Jamal's case, find the way to maximize the most out of their talent. They both have extreme levels of talent. Like Jokic has Hall of Fame level of talent. I don't know if Jamal has Hall of Fame level talent, but he has perennial All-Star level talent. So I guess that would equal Hall of Fame one day. So they both have the talent, but for them, it's finding the way to get the most out of their own talent. Jamal, it's always been there. The talent has always been there. The aggression has been there, but now it's finding a way to hone it every single night and maybe not having to go for 50 every night, but find a way to get 22 and 8 and 6 or get 25, 4 and 5 and channel it to consistency. With Jokic, it was being aggressive. You have the talent, go do it. Get past your first instinct and go do it. Like we just saw a guy a couple of nights ago whose first instinct and maybe his best skill isn't to score the basketball, but now he's among 3 players in the NBA who's surpassed 35,000 points, and that's LeBron James. So it's finding ways to assert your dominance, and I think Jokic is he's walked through the door of being that player, and I think Jamal is walking up the stoop, so to speak, to that door to walk in and to assert that. And it's crazy that the Nuggets have 2 guys that had to find that path, and hopefully Jamal ends up going the way that Jokic has gone and he can reach that level, because I think it would be completely disappointing if this duo, should they reach their max level of potential, it would be very disappointing if they don't come away with 1 title. It would just, and then that's not even including MPJ, he's just Bambi on ice. Like his legs are too big, he's awkward and gangly, but then you see him run down the floor and hit a 3 in someone's face or hit a fading corner 3 out of bounds at a buzzer beater, and it's majestic, and you're like, oh my gosh, this guy has all the talent in the world. And he might, out of all 3 of these guys, who has like the most talent? I don't know, it's hard to say, but like you look at MPJ and he's a unicorn, but then you see him drop a pass last night that his hands are probably so big, his hands could probably cover my entire head, and yet he can't catch a basketball, and it just baffles my mind. I don't understand the physics of it. It really makes me angry. There was a pass last night where he was under the basket and they threw it to him and he tried to one-hand it and he dropped it. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. How do you not? Why can't you catch a basketball? I don't understand it. It makes me very angry. But I just hope Jamal can reach the point that Jokic has, because Jokic has broken in. He's legitimately a top 5 player in this league. He's easily a top 10 player. It's just when he's playing at the level he's playing at, he could be a top 5 player. And same with Embiid. I know I like poke fun at Embiid a lot, but Embiid is really freaking good. I don't know if you've watched a lot of Philadelphia 76ers games this year, but Embiid he's really, really good.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, these 2 are hands down the best centers. At this point, it's about who you'd prefer. Obviously, the Embiid's the more all-around center, but Jokic isn't terrible defensively. But Jokic is just, I think, on another level offensively. Like, Embiid is great offensively, but Jokic can do everything that Embiid does offensively, and then some. Like, he can also, the offense runs through him, like, literally. He is the point guard at times. So, I don't know. It's, with Jamal, I'm hoping that he's turning a corner. I'm hoping, like how you've pointed out, it's just that Jokic scenario to where finally maybe that light bulb is clicking because everybody knows the talent he has,
It's
and
the
Michael Malone spoke about it last night too.
it's the only it's the only thing that makes sense to me. And the one thing that clicked for me with that was their age. They're the same exact age. Jamal is the same exact age as Jokic was in that first year that it happened. Not last year, that first year that we were like, what's going on with Jokic? Why, these first 2 months are just bizarre. And then he took off. And then last year, same thing. And he came in overweight, blah, 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 blah. And it was just, why is it taking him 2 months to figure this out? I think it's a lot of it, like we said, youth, figuring out how to use the offseason correctly, and just knowing how to use the regular season. I think for a lot of guys, it does take until you're 24, 25 years old to figure it out, for it to actually click. Mm-hmm. Some guys just are naturally it clicks for them.
Yeah, not everybody's Kevin Durant, LeBron James.
Yeah, you not only have to have the talent, but you have to have that ability to figure it out at 18, 19 years old. And so there's a reason why that only happens, twice every 30 years. I mean, it's so rare for that to happen. I mean, look at Steph. I mean, Steph didn't figure it out until he was 25, 24.
Steph was on the verge of being out of the league with those ankle injuries.
So I think every young player has that thing that they need to get over. For Jokic, it was his weight. I think we can all agree it was his weight. That's what it was. Knowing how to use the offseason, coming into the season in shape, right? Figuring it out,
his body, and then figuring out how to be an aggressive player.
Right.
Yeah.
For Steph, we just mentioned it. It was his injuries, right? His injuries, and then probably consistency. For Jamal, it's his consistency, knowing how to use the offseason, coming into the year ready to go. Now, I'm not going to harp on being ready to go this year because I understand it. I would have been the same way. I don't know. Why are we starting this thing 60 days after we just finished? It's ridiculous. But it's a weird year, right? The pandemic just messed everything up. So I get that. And it makes sense that 2 months into the year, it's like, oh, yeah, okay, now I'm going to get going. I want to be here. Because really, we've had a full offseason now. It's 4 months. So I think I really do think he's starting to put in the effort. I think that's all it was. It was effort. Not on the court, not just that, but off the court.
Yeah, I think getting his legs under him, and that's why I just didn't buy the whole injury thing. Jamal gets banged up, but I just wasn't buying that.
Yeah,
it just felt like he just wasn't focused, like he wasn't there. There's times where his decision making in games just has to get better. Mm-hmm. That's why I think eventually it's probably best for the Nuggets to get an actual point guard.
How long have I been saying this? But no,
I think it's just eventually because
start Monte, and I get it. Look, the bench is crap. The depth on this team is awful, and Connolly did a horrible job. Now things fell through, didn't work out. Their plans, obviously, the Drew Holiday thing didn't work out. Jeremy Grant didn't work out. If those two things would have worked out, the Nuggets are in a very different spot right now. Very different spot, right? If you get Drew, because the whole Malik and Wancho trade, that was to get Drew Holiday. That was a trade to make first and then get the deal done with Drew. But it didn't work like that, and it fell through. And then Jeremy Grant obviously goes to Detroit. They offer him the same amount of money. He still goes to Detroit. He still goes there. So if those two things work out, I think we're in a very different scenario, and they're probably a top 3 seed right now. or they at least are right there with Utah and the two LAs. By the way, Utah will come back down to earth.
Well, I mean, you
I'm
look
waiting
at
for it. I'm like, they're
it's.
up there. I see them,
I mean,
and I'm
they're a
waiting
good
for
team.
them to come down.
They're good, but listen, the Lakers in 5 and Clippers in 6.
Yeah, but
The Clippers they were up like 15 at one point. Then the Clippers do what the Clippers do, and they give up a lead, and then they win by I think like 10.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, start Monte Morris. I get it. The depth is crap, but I think at this point, Jamal is better as a 2 guard. He profiles as a 2 guard. Stop forcing the issue. Let's get another ball handler out there. Put Gary on the bench when he comes back. I know it. Well, Gary Harris is not a good bench player because he can't score. But look, you need a point guard next to Jamal. Jamal he's not a point guard. He's not. He can average 4 or 5 assists, but guess what? So does Bradley Beal. He's not a point guard. Devin Booker can do that. He's not a point guard. Your shooting guard should be averaging 20 plus, 4 and 4 or 5 and 5. And that's what he is. That's what Jamal Murray is. Well, can he give you an 8 assist game or 10 assist game? Yeah, he can give you that once in a while. But to rely on something like that, to rely on him being the point guard, that's not who he is. And I get it. Jokic takes a lot of the point guard responsibilities. He is essentially your point guard. But he's not that all the time. And then it's when he's not, it's Jamal. But it needs to be Monte, Jamal, MPJ at the 3, whoever the hell you want at the 4. If you want to keep on starting the corpse that is Paul Millsap, you can. Whatever, I don't get it, but fine, Malone. That's your decision, I guess. And then put Jokic at the center. Now, obviously, I would like for Jokic to move to the 4, and you go out and get someone at the 5 to help protect the paint. And then that gives you another ball handler next to Jamal, and it gives you rim protection behind Jokic. That's how it should be. And then you got to figure out the bench. You got to figure it out. Play the young guys. RJ Hampton, he hasn't shot the ball great, but he's playing really well. When PJ Dozier comes back, he can play at point. He can do that. Campazzo is a point guard. He's a guy that you have on the team. He's not good, but he's a guy.
He does nice things.
So he
does nice things throughout the game.
Sure. So your depth, that the some depth that you have is that point guard. So why aren't you starting Monte? And then elevate these other guys. They did it last night, right? Monte started last night.
That's the interesting thing because I think MPJ played at the 4 last night and he played really well. I don't know who. I think they started Jamichael or maybe Jamichael.
Yeah, Jamichael started at the 4, MPJ at the 3, Will started, and Jamal. I forgot Will is back. But there you go. Move Will to the bench. That gives you scoring off the bench. You have point guards on the bench. Why are you not starting Monte? You're playing him 30 minutes a game. Jamal is not a point guard. What he did last night, that's who he is. Now, 50 points is absurd, but he's the 24 points per game guy, 4, 5, 6 rebounds, anywhere between 2 and 5 assists. That's who he is. That's what you're going to get from Jamal.
It just makes you wonder where this team would have been like if they had a Chris Paul. Could you imagine?
Stop it. Stop it.
I'm just saying, if they... Because Chris Paul, I mean, he's accepted, even though Ayton really hasn't stepped up in Phoenix. No. I mean, he's accepted like the 3rd role in terms of scoring, but like I said, Ayton really hasn't stepped up, and so he has to be that 2nd guy. But I mean, if Chris Paul was fine taking the role of 10 to 13 points a game and just running the offense,
but here's the thing: you already have that guy. Like you have Monte. Use him. And here's the thing:
Monte's not Chris. Though.
And here's I'll say this. I've been on the Andre Drummond train. It looks like he's gonna get traded. I hope the Nuggets jump on it. But another guy that's available, Lonzo Ball. Go get Lonzo.
That would be an interesting one.
Get him.
He's a solid defender. Gives you length.
And he's shooting the ball better. And you don't need him to shoot the ball great. What you need is another ball handler. him running pick and rolls with Jokic, cutting to the basket, playing good defense, rebounding the ball. That's what you need. Go get Lonzo.
I think that would be a solid pickup. I think Lonzo would be a solid addition.
If you desperately want Monte coming off the bench, go get someone. If not, then start Monte. But Lonzo Ball, I think, fixes a lot of problems on this team.
Well, and the issue too with starting Monte is just you give up some size.
Yeah.
In that backcourt.
Yeah.
So I mean, if Monte has to switch out, on guys, it's not great.
Right.
He's not a great defender.
Yeah.
You get a guy in Lonzo who can do everything that Monte can't. Now Monte's probably a more polished shooter, even though he's not a great shooter. But Lonzo is 6'6", lengthy.
Yeah,
he can shoot. He's crafty.
He's 6
great
foot,
IQ.
Yeah, he's 6'6". He's averaging 14 a game right now.
And he's averaging more than Monte.
5 assists. I think he's coming off the bench though. Oh no,
I think that would be
starting.
a really. Is he a free agent this year?
Yes, technically, I think he would be.
That'd be a name I would like to have. That might be my new Jay Crowder, Montrezl Harrell train that I might.
But look, he's not averaging a ton of assists, but we know he can do it. He's averaging 14, 5, and 4. He's shooting 38.
Which is surprising, given that how many alley-oops they throw to freaking Zion.
Well, I think they have another. They have who's Bledsoe. I think Bledsoe's starting for them too. So I think he's getting a lot of those assists too. But he's shooting the ball pretty well. I mean, 39% from 3, 42 from the field. And if they're for whatever reason they're looking to trade him, I think they just want Bledsoe instead. I don't know why, but if they're offering up Lonzo Ball and you can get him, go get him.
What would that take to get Lonzo? Maybe what would they want? What is New Orleans' direction? First off, what are they doing? Are they trying to get a better draft pick? Are they trying to get veterans? Because they were trying to trade JJ Redick too.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know really what they want. They might want just more young guys to just kind of restart and build around Zion.
What if you gave them, Bol and a future first?
I don't think that's enough. You might have to give up someone like RJ Hampton. Or if you really like RJ, give up Monte. But again, Monte's more of a veteran. I don't think they would want that because they're already
I don't know if I'd want to give
that's
up
what you're giving up in Lonzo. That doesn't make sense for them to want Monte instead of Lonzo. That's kind of stupid. So probably RJ Hampton.
Maybe Zeke.
I wouldn't give up Zeke. But I mean,
if it's netting you Lonzo, I would. I'm just trying to think of young guys that they would want.
Yeah,
I mean, Bol would be in there.
Yeah, I would give up. Here's the thing: I would save Zeke if you can get Andre Drummond.
Zeke has been playing.
But I'm telling you, I don't know if money works or not, but best case scenario, if you can't get Beal, and Beal might be too expensive anyways, if you go out and get Andre Drummond and Lonzo Ball.
Makes it seem a whole lot more interesting.
I mean, that fixes your starting lineup, and it fixes your bench because now you move Barton to the bench, you move Gary to the bench, and you still have JaMychal Green on the bench. Well, I guess you could, you have JaMychal Green on the bench. You had Paul Millsap on the bench.
Well, and it kind of makes up a little bit for the size you lost in Mason and Jeremy and Torrey. You get a 6'6" guy, and Drummond's 6'10". 6'11".
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know what you'd have to give up for something like that, but those would be two pieces that would be interesting. And both are free agents though this coming year, right?
Yeah. So you could just wait. But again,
those might be my Jay Crowder, Montrezl Harrell.
And here's the thing: you're keeping your core, and you're moving your two best players right now. Your two best players positions. You're moving Jamal from point guard to shooting guard, and you're moving Jokic from center to power forward. But they profile as those type of guys. Jamal profiles as a 2. I get it. Jokic is 7 feet tall, but Dirk played at the 4. He wasn't a center. And guess what? They got a center behind him. They won a championship.
Yeah.
It works.
It's interesting. Those are interesting names. I think those are two names to definitely keep an eye on in free agency, even though this will be a year to where you could have some big names come alive in free agency.
You could get them in trades right now.
I just don't know what you'd have to give up for that.
But here's the thing. It makes it interesting. The Anthony Davis injury is concerning if you're the Lakers. It is.
I think they just sit him for like a month. Just sit him for a month.
Well, that's what they're gonna do. But
they'll be fine.
Anthony Davis has had a lot of injury issues in his past. Worrisome. So this year could really open up. It could. There's a chance. And here's the thing: you go get Andre Drummond. That fixes your problem of defending Anthony Davis, by the way. And getting a guy like Lonzo will help you defend those guards that they have. You're built not only to beat them, but you're also built to beat the Clippers because Lonzo can switch on guys too.
But again, like, what are we having to give up? That's the thing.
So, I don't know.
Okay, you add those
I don't
guys,
know.
But...
That's the problem. I don't know what Cleveland wants. I don't know if they just want a bag of peanuts for Andre Drummond. The whole New Orleans thing, why they want to trade Lonzo doesn't make sense to me. So I don't know what they're trying to get. As we get closer, we'll kind of start to learn what they want from these guys. But honestly, if here's the thing, you need to make a decision this year though. Do you want to wait, keep your assets for a guy just in case Bradley Beal becomes actually available? Or do you say, you know what, we're sticking with our three guys. We have our core. We're sticking with it. We're going to be stubborn about this, and we're going to build around them. If that's the case and you want to keep your core, and if it starts to click with Jamal over this next month, I think that makes that decision a lot easier. Then go. You have to. And your window really could open up this year. There's a chance. That window flies wide open.
Yeah, I just don't think it's likely.
But again, getting those two guys, it helps you be able to beat a team like the Lakers. Lonzo helps you a lot.
Sure.
Andre Drummond helps you a lot, right? So then you have the offensive firepower. And here's the thing. You have your two guys that can match their two guys, right? You add a defender that can slow down one of their two guys. And not only that, but you have a third guy. They don't necessarily have... I mean, you can say that Dennis Schroeder is their third. But if MPJ starts kind of, figuring things out too, you might have a better third.
With that contract extension for Kuzma, that's who they want their third to be. But, that's
I'm just saying. And look, could you imagine Lonzo Ball playing against the Lakers in the playoffs and how much he would want that? So sure. I'm just saying, I think that works. So if you decide, hey, we're going to stick with our core, and as far as Bradley Beal goes, forget it. Then you're offering up first-round picks like it's nothing. Because you got to re-sign Lonzo, and you got to re-sign Andre Drummond, and you got to hope that you got to really hope, it's a gamble, but you got to really hope that you can keep those guys because you lost Jeremy Grant.
See, that's why I think you just waited
out
But
the same thing with Beal, though. I mean, you would lose Beal in 3 years anyways, too.
Well, yeah, but you'd at least have him under contract.
Yeah, but you could also go and sign other guys. It's not like Lonzo is like this guy you can't replace, or Andre Drummond is this guy you can't replace.
But I think those could be two pieces on championship teams that could really make an impact.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You can have a guarantee that you get them this year, and that you open the window this year.
Okay, but does getting them this year, does that hypothetically? Okay, let's say they have to give up some of the bench. Let's say Jermichael Green has to go. Will Barton has to go, and Gary has to go. Say you lose those three guys in these.
Now you obviously get maybe a couple role players here and there back.
Maybe, but I mean, we add Lonzo because in the playoffs the rotation's shortened anyway, so the bench doesn't necessarily matter all as much. But if you have a starting five of Lonzo, Jamal, MPJ, Andre Drummond, and Nikola Jokic, and then you have Monte and I don't know Hartenstein or whoever coming off the bench, RJ Hampton, Zeke Nnaji, whatever. Is that good enough to beat the Lakers 7 or 8 guys? Is that good enough to beat the Clippers? I mean, I didn't think they were good enough last year to beat the Clippers.
Well, here's the thing.
I mean,
I think you're good enough to beat the Clippers because the Clippers don't have an answer for Jokic. They obviously don't have an answer for Jamal. We learned that. So I think the key when it comes, if you do have that type of team, the key is to not get down early and using all your energy to come back in those series. I think if they had the energy against the Lakers, that probably pushes to 6 instead. It should have went 6 anyways. They lost on a game winner. So that should have went to 6. If you if you don't have to play 2 straight 7-game series and you're absolutely dead in the first game, you can push that series maybe to 7, right? If things go how they should have last year, right? Where you don't kill yourself and go down 3-1 in back-to-back series. They're obviously better than both those teams, so they should have beat those teams a little bit easier than they did. At least not being down 3-1. Maybe it goes 7, but you're not wasting all that energy coming back. So you're a defender away from with slowing down Anthony Davis a little bit. Andre Drummond helps you a lot in that case. They're killing you in the paint. Dwight Howard was killing them. So
well, that's the thing. The Lakers got smaller.
I think
that would get you bigger.
Right. So I think you would have a shot. And here's the thing. You would have the guarantee that they are here this year, right? And then as far as next year, you have a shot at re-signing them. If you don't do anything this year and you don't do whatever it takes to get those 2 guys or get 2 guys like that this year, you risk the chance of having to get that guy in the offseason. But what tells you that you're going to actually get that guy in the offseason?
It's a risk either way. Sure.
So
if you trade for him, it's the risk of losing them and having to lose
but at
those
least you have them this year.
Yeah. Or it's, you wait and sit on these assets and try and get them in free agency, and then you don't get them, but you at least still have the assets.
Well, you don't. Yeah, but what are the assets going to do for you?
Sure.
Are you ready to win or not? So
well, that's the thing. And I've been a part of the camp that eventually I think now I'm leaning more towards we need to make a move here. We need to swing for the fences. But then again, too, okay, say you do somehow get past the Lakers or the Clippers and the Jazz if they're there.
You'll get past the Jazz.
Does that put you over Brooklyn? Because
here's the thing.
I don't know if anybody's going to beat Brooklyn 4 out of 7 times.
Oh, I think, okay. 2 things. 1, Andre Drummond, mismatch nightmare for Brooklyn. 2, who the hell is going to stop Jokic? And 3, who the hell is going to stop Jamal? And 4, who the hell is going to stop MPJ? They have no defense.
Kevin. Okay, but you're asking those guys to.
I'll take the Nuggets. I will take the Nuggets defense against those guys over those guys' defense against the Nuggets.
That's 330 points.
In the scenario where you have Andre Drummond and Lonzo Ball, yes, I will take the Nuggets over that team.
I think it makes it tough
because they can't defend a parked car. Taking Bradley Beal's quote, they can't defend a parked car. At least the Nuggets can.
Sure,
they're better. And
that's
and here's the thing.
Scorers in the league, though.
I get it, but Andre Drummond helps you a ton defensively. They don't have an answer for Jokic. Jokic is an underrated defender. Gary Harris has played well historically against James Harden. Kevin Durant has historically killed the Nuggets. So you got to figure that out, or you got to match him. You would have to match him, right?
Kemp said Jamal would stop himself.
Jamal might stop himself. But I think you have the defensive pieces to at least slow those guys down a little bit. They have nothing. They can't slow you down whatsoever. And that's why they won't beat the Lakers. They won't beat the Clippers. They wouldn't.
Oh, I don't know.
They won't. They won't.
I think they could beat the Lakers.
They can't defend.
I think they could beat all of those teams.
They can't defend.
I would say right now Brooklyn is the favorite.
They can't. They wouldn't be able to stop LeBron. They wouldn't be able to stop Anthony Davis.
But it doesn't matter because they'll come back on the other end and get those points.
No, because the Lakers have guys who can actually put in effort defensively. And here's the thing.
You can't help.
The Lakers win in defense and the Lakers win with their bench. Not their bench. They're other guys, right? Because in the playoffs, it's not your bench. It's the other guys. The others would beat Brooklyn's others.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Joe Harris. I mean, Jeff Green's a great
Oh,
solid 3
Jeff
and D
Green.
guy.
Woo.
I mean, he's really good in the role
Good
that
luck
they have him
stopping
in.
Jeff Green.
I mean, I'm just saying.
They're
How
not.
do you stop Brooklyn? How do you play them defense? Because you can't help off of anybody.
They play the same way that the Phoenix Suns did in the past. They play the same. It's the same way as.
But they have 3 Hall of Famers now.
I get it, but I don't think that's good enough to beat LeBron and AD. I just don't.
Oh, I think that's more than enough. I think the Lakers would be underdogs in that series. I think if it was Brooklyn and LA and both teams are healthy and ready to go, I would say Brooklyn in 6.
Oh, no way.
Maybe 5.
No way.
But I'd probably go 6 just to be comfortable. So, hello, is that Pivot? Which one is that?
That's Amori.
Okay. They really do look alike though. They look extremely alike. Look at that. They're like twins. You could not tell them apart. God, she got big fast. But yeah, no, I think Brooklyn in 6.
Okay.
One, because I don't know who guards Kevin, who's slowing him down. James Harden, like, good luck, Dennis Schroeder, Caruso, like, good luck.
Here's the thing: if Brooklyn starts to put any effort defensively, and they might in the playoffs, they might, and they make a couple moves at the deadline, going out and get defensive guys, they'll have a shot. But until then, they gotta. I mean, they're winning games 145 to 140, and
Sure.
it's not like
But
they're
it's working.
Yeah, against the Cavs.
I mean, they just put a beating on the Lakers the other night without Kevin.
They didn't have Anthony Davis.
Well, yeah, but they didn't have Kevin, their best player, and they still beat them by like 20.
Look, and you know what? I think Anthony Davis would be the best player in that series. So the Lakers were missing.
You're crazy.
They would have no answer to Anthony Davis would kill them. They would have no answer for him.
Well, it depends on what AD we get too, because there's consistency and like aggressive. Like AD has not been having a good year. I get he's been dealing with the heel ankle thing all year, but I mean his numbers are down.
If
it's still like 22,
right, if he's healthy.
7,
but that's why I say this might be the Nuggets' window to go do something.
Someone put out the bat signal for Matthew Dellavedova. That's what you need. You need Matthew. That's what they have in Caruso. That's who they have.
Yeah,
it's essentially Caruso in a nutshell. I don't know. I think that would be a great series. I think that's ultimately the collision course we're going to get is Lakers Brooklyn, which I'm fine with. I think that would be an awesome series to watch. But I don't think those moves, if you inputted Lonzo and Drummond onto this team, I don't know if it gets them past the Lakers. But I think that makes that a 6 or 7 game series for sure.
I think you're in the depending on where you are in that bracket. Because you might have to play the Lakers in the second round, depending on how things go. It could be a Western Conference Finals matchup with the Lakers again, and I think it's a lot closer than 5 games.
Well, you got to hope too. Like the Nuggets. Speaking of that, the Nuggets right now are the 7th seed, and they would face the Lakers in the first round.
Right.
So you got to find a way to move up to 4, 5,
I think
6.
I think they're fine. They're 2.5 games back from.
Well, yeah. I mean,
seeds, so.
You know, between 4 and 8 is 2.
And look,
wins.
this is all based on that we get that Jamal is going down the Jokic road and not the 3 different Jamals. If it's the 3 different Jamals, then all bets are off. Go get Bradley Beal. But I mean, again, these next 2 months up to the trade deadline are big for Jamal.
It's going to be fun to watch, but the Nuggets have Atlanta on Sunday, and then on Tuesday it's a sneaky big game against the Blazers because the Blazers are the 4 seed right now, 18 and 10, and the Nuggets are the 7 seed as I just mentioned at 16 and 13.
They should beat the
Blazers.
Blazers.
That game. That gets you feeling pretty good, and you have the tiebreaker over Phoenix, who's at 5 at 18 and 10. San Antonio, I think they've only played them once, but they lost that game. San Antonio is quietly a competitive team. They won't probably make any big noise in the playoffs, but they're competitive. You can't brush them off.
Yeah.
Before we go today, we got to talk about this Deshaun Watson thing because the Broncos, I almost said the Nuggets. The Broncos are now the odds-on favorite in Vegas to land Deshaun Watson. My, how the turntables.
You said
do you
that
think
wrong.
they could actually get it? What?
Never
Right, yeah.
mind. I think.
Have you not watched The Office? You don't get the reference?
Oh no, I don't. I've never watched The
Kemp will get the
Office.
reference.
Yeah, Gimp will get it.
Yeah. Yes, because he walks in, Michael Scott, and he's like, my, how the turntables. That's the whole joke. Anyways,
Okay.
do you think the Broncos have a fair shot at
No,
landing Sean Watson?
no.
John McClain of the Houston, I think, Chronicle guaranteed that Denver will not get to Sean Watson.
Yeah, no. That won't happen. I also, I'm back and forth with that because it's a lot of money and it's a lot of picks to give up. I just don't know. Like, and we talked about this in the last podcast. Like, out of all the teams, it makes the most sense that the Broncos were to get him because they can afford to give up those assets because they already have a really good offense. They're just missing the quarterback. They've already drafted their offense, right? These last 2 years. So that's where they have the weapons and they're not spending a lot of money offensively. And the rest of your money that can go towards the defense, especially if you let Vaughn go. So out of all the teams, and I think this is why they are they have the best odds, is because it makes the most sense. They have the weapons in place. They're all young. They're all on rookie contracts, other than Sutton, and you can get rid of Vaughn. So, and then help the defense out after that. So it makes the most sense, but I just don't know if it's worth giving up 4 first-round picks. I'd give up 3. I'm 50-50 on if I would give up 4. And I wouldn't give up any other players other than Drew Lock or Vaughn, which is not going to happen. I don't know why Houston would want one of those guys. So that's where I think in my mind, the team that makes the most sense is the Jets, just because they have the 2nd overall pick and Houston can grab Justin Fields, or whoever they want at quarterback. So that to me is probably the route that I would go if I was Houston. But you never know. They could also, if Houston really wants to be stupid, they might just wait this thing out. I don't know, because if Watson decides is Watson really gonna sit out? I know he said it, but
Maybe
that's a lot of money. And
Sure.
what's he gonna do? Sit out for 4 years?
Well, eventually they would trade him, but
Are you sure?
yeah,
Because here's the thing.
he's too good not to get anything for. You're not just gonna, sit there and let the guy sit.
Well, I know, but
You could ask him.
Watson's not gonna sit 4 years. That's what I'm
Well,
saying.
no, but that's why I think eventually he'd get traded.
I think eventually he would play.
Trade him before the draft.
Eventually he would play. It's too much money to give
Someone
up.
else.
Hey, you know what? He sits out for a year. You get the number 1 overall pick next year. Then he comes back.
Dude, that'd be smart. Make him sit out, suck the whole year, get the number 1 pick next year, then trade him next year. Boom. That's some Madden type stuff, right?
I'm just saying I don't think he gets traded this year. Because Houston's being stubborn, and I think they're going to call his bluff. And you know what? If I'm Houston too, what you just said, I'm like, you know what? If he sits out the whole year, it's not the worst thing in the world. We'll get the number 1 overall pick, and then we have options to trade him next year and get even more. Or he likes the direction that we're going. We get him back plus the number 1 overall pick. Off we go. So I don't think it's the worst thing. Now, if I'm Houston, I get the 2nd overall pick with several more picks, because now obviously Watson can decline that and not go to the Jets. But even with Watson on the Jets, I don't think they're like a 13-3 team. So you're probably going to have a pick in the top 20. So, I mean, I would make the deal with the Jets. But if not, I would keep him. I'd either go Jets or keep him, because if he comes to Denver, Denver's 12-4.
Well, that's what I was going to ask too. If the Broncos got
It's a way
Deshaun
worse
Watson,
pick. Not only do you get the ninth pick, which is a way worse pick than what you could get,
right?
but the
But he also has a
Broncos,
trade clause too, though,
right?
doesn't
Well,
he?
that's the thing is that's what
So
makes it tricky
he has
is
leverage here.
he has all the leverage. So that's why if I'm Houston, I'm either trading him to the Jets or holding on.
But if he doesn't want to go to the Jets, and he's like, I want to go to Denver,
Then
if he says
then I hold on. I hold on to him.
that,
I'm telling
yeah,
you, he's not sitting more than a year. I could see him sit a year. He's not sitting more than a year. He'll come back.
if the Broncos were to get Deshaun Watson though, and somehow they were able to keep most of their young core, beginning with Philip Lindsay, of course. Philip Lindsay, Deshaun Watson, Noah Fant, uh, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton. If say you're able to keep that core together, because that's what matters here. How good can this offense be? I mean,
I would draft a running back, but I would draft a running back, but no, yeah, Noah Fant, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, KJ Hamler. By the way, Kemp, they don't want Vaughn. I don't know if anyone wants Vaughn.
We gotta talk about that too. You keep reminding me of topics. We gotta talk about Vaughn.
Look, Houston. Kemp said give them both. They would have definitely want Vaughn with Watt out. There's a reason. Well, oh my God, Watt, JJ Watt. They released him.
Words are hard.
So, why would you want to replace Watt with the same exact guy? Essentially.
Well, it's not the same exact
Well,
guy.
they're the same age. They do essentially the same thing. I mean, Vaughn's more of a pass rusher who's old, so really that's nothing. They're not gonna want Vaughn. No. I think I think they go right around 11-5, 12-4 with Watson, because that offense is going to score a lot of points. I mean, Sutton is, when healthy, is a top 10 receiver. Jerry Jeudy, if he figures out, how to, I guess he could just change out his gloves and, get sticky gloves. I don't know. I don't know what his deal is.
Him and MPJ need to take catching classes together.
Yeah.
Just hit the jug machine together, guys.
Look, if Jerry Jeudy can figure it out, they have KJ Hamler. I don't know if Tim Patrick will be back or not. Probably not. But yeah, I think they go, unless he's under contract. But I thought Tim Patrick was a free agent.
Albert O, that's a good one too. I forgot.
Albert O. Yeah, no, that offense. And look, Vic Fangio can then focus on his defense.
Yeah.
And they can then spend the rest of the money that they have on the defense. Let Vaughn go. That opens up a lot. Malik Reed bumps up to where Vaughn was. He filled in that role just fine last year. Bradley Chubb hopefully is healthy. You have Callahan for the whole year. You draft I guess you wouldn't. I don't know what draft picks you would have, but if you can find a corner in like the third round, you have Callahan, OJ Mudia, and who else do they have at corner?
Is Callahan a free agent this year?
No, I believe they have him for another year.
I thought he was a free agent this year. Because they don't have Boye, obviously.
No, they have Callahan for another year.
Okay.
Re-sign Justin Simmons. Obviously, you have Kareem Jackson. So yeah, I think their defense is just fine. A.J. Johnson played well. Draft guys in the late rounds.
Tight ends for crap.
Well, no, I mean you got to figure that out. But
can I just say,
I think they'd be 11-5, 12-4.
Quick tangent. I was playing Madden the other night, and I don't know why I did this to myself, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna play with the Broncos in an online game. I'm just gonna do it.
Well, that wasn't a good idea.
Terrible decision. Like the linebacker play, trying to cover tight ends with Alexander Johnson and Josie Jewell in that game. Like I like to control the linebackers on defense. As soon as the ball was snapped, I tried to turn, and it felt like I was going turtle speed, and the tight end is already down the seam for a touchdown. And I'm like, why did I do this to myself? And then Locke was just awful, and it was bad. But yes, that was my quick tangent. But no, I think you have a point. I think Watson would make this team at the bare minimum. This should be a 10-win team. I mean, they won 6 last year. So, I mean, you're telling me Deshaun Watson can't add 4 games, and given what their schedule is, which we already know it to be. I think they play the NFC East next year. Let me see.
Yeah, they would win at least 10. And a lot of their losses were close, and they had a lot of injuries. So
Let's
injuries, whatever.
see.
So
next year, yeah, they'll play. Oh, so they'll play the AFC North next year, again. Is that right? Am I looking at this year's schedule? Oh no, because we didn't play Jags this year. So yeah, we play the NFC North and the AFC North next year. So, I mean, you have the Ravens. That's a winnable game, I think. Cincinnati, you should win that game. Philly, you should win that game now that there's no Wentz. And even if there was Wentz. Washington football team, I think you can win that. We went through this. I think the Broncos have a, on paper, not knowing what the moves are going to be, an easy schedule next year.
Mm-hmm.
I think at the minimum they should win 8 games.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing.
That's with lock,
right?
I think.
So you win 10 easily. You probably, I would say you win 11 or 12. I think best. I think you could win 13, but what makes me not say 13 is the division. That's the only reason.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if you look at if I go through this schedule outside of Kansas City, that I would chalk up as 2 losses. I think you could easily split with the Raiders. I think you could easily split with the Chargers.
Well, that's already 4 losses right there.
Well,
so.
Okay. Sure.
But I think you sweep the Raiders. Depending on what the Chargers do, that's tricky. And depending
but I guess my point is,
depending on what Herbert turns
schedule,
into.
Is there any team that you're marking down as a for sure loss?
No.
So Baltimore, is that a for sure loss?
If you have Deshaun Watson, no.
Philly's not. Washington's not. The Jets aren't. Detroit's not. If you have to play Detroit. The Steelers, that's not. Cleveland, no. The Giants, Cowboys, Jags, are any of those for sure losses? No.
So yeah, they can go 12-4. I would say 11-5 or 12-4. And then if you can beat Kansas City once, you can get to 13-3.
Oh man, are we about to be the Broncos hype train this coming season? Are we predicting playoffs?
Well, they're not going to get Deshaun Watson, so no. Now here's the thing: if they move off Lock and grab a rookie quarterback and that rookie ends up working out, they can make the playoffs at 10 games.
Anybody other than Zach Wilson. Mac Jones.
You're going to become a Zach Wilson hater because I like him.
Yes. Pretty much, yes. That's how that's going to go. Listen, I'm just hoping that Trevor Lawrence's injury naturally has him fall to 9.
Trevor Lawrence is not the best quarterback in the class.
Generally is an 8-spot fall. And you get Trevor Lawrence, and then we win 17 Super Bowls. We're the greatest franchise in NFL history, and boom.
I really don't get why people think that Trevor Lawrence is a Peyton Manning, John Elway, Andrew Luck type of player.
In 20 years, he's getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, I would like to bet a crumble cookie. I'm going to make a futures bet right now. I would like a party box of crumble that Trevor Lawrence will be a Hall of Famer.
Well, I'm not going to say he's not a Hall of Famer. I'm just saying he's not John Elway, Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning coming out of the draft. He's not. Hall of Famer? He could be. It depends on what team he goes to. I think for a lot of these guys, it depends on what team. There's only a few guys that they are the system. So like Brady, we learned, is the system. Peyton Manning was the system. Patrick Mahomes, I don't know. I'm going to assume that he's the system too. He could go anywhere and succeed. But I mean, we don't know. It could be Andy Reid. We have no idea. We won't know until Andy Reid retires, and then it's Mahomes on his own. But it's very rare that a quarterback is the system. I think Aaron Rodgers is the system there. But it's very rare to find that guy. You need to build your team around whichever quarterback you have. So if the Rams do a great job of building around Matthew Stafford, they're going to have a great year. If the Colts, if they do a good job of building around Carson Wentz, I think Carson Wentz is going to have a fantastic year because we know talent's there. Philly just has been crap. So, and they haven't helped them. The Colts already have pieces. They're ready to go. And if they run the right system, plays, they go out and maybe get another weapon for him. They have a great running back. great offensive line, great defense. They're right there. So it's rare to find the quarterback that is the system. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is that guy. I don't think he has the arm strength. Those outside throws really worry me. Can he
You
get
have the arm strength.
can he get better? Yeah, sure. I think if he goes to the right team, and if the Jaguars do the right things, he can be a Hall of Fame quarterback. But Jacksonville has to do the right things, or else he's gonna end up. Honestly, he's gonna end up like he could end up like Andrew Luck or like an RG3.
I think this is just a situation where you're just jealous of his hair, and it's showing. So I just think that's what
Again,
this
if
is.
Zach Wilson goes to the right team,
I'm going to chalk this up to that.
he's gonna be it all depends, and that's what I'm saying. If Denver goes out and gets a quarterback, they have the weapons. Now you just gotta.
Part of me kind of wants to see the Broncos draft Zach Wilson just so I can see you explode on Twitter. Like, part of me wants to see that.
I would lose my mind. Here's the thing. I haven't bought a jersey for any team since I was probably in middle school.
I don't get your obsession with Zach
Wilson. If the Denver Broncos draft Zach Wilson, day one I will be buying a jersey.
That's so funny. That is hilarious to me. Okay, lastly before we go, is Von Miller a part of the Denver Broncos roster on opening day?
No. Unless he takes a pay cut.
Which it doesn't look like he will.
Nope, he's gone.
I'm very excited because I think he'll be gone too. I'm very excited for the day.
And look, they have Malik Reed. By the way, I was listening to your old show. They were talking about Malik Reed had a really good year, and they had a caller, and he was like, "Well, I don't want them to do the same thing that they did to." Yeah, they took callers in a segment.
Goodness gracious! I leave and everything goes off the rails.
But the caller was like, what happened with Shaq Barrett? I don't want to happen to Malik Reed. Malik Reed had 8 sacks. He had a good year. If they bring back Von Miller and then they hide Malik Reed on the bench, then in 2 years when they need an outside linebacker and Malik Reed leaves because he wants a starting role, you're going to be screwed again. And then you're going to have to go find someone. You have someone right there. Possibly. Now, if you let Von go and Malik Reed doesn't work out, then go find someone. But you need to see what Malik Reed can do. Let Von go, see what Reed can do. Opposite of him, you got Chubb. And then whatever you want to do with the 9th overall pick.
Yeah, well, I think it gives you clarity on both sides, right? It gives you clarity on what you have in Malik Reed, and it gives you clarity on if Chubb can actually be that guy that he was drafted at 5 to be.
Hold on, I just saw Kem's comment. This makes me angry. I hate this argument. Oh, this college hasn't produced a good quarterback since 1980 something, or has never done it. I'm sorry. What about Texas Tech? Have they had a good quarterback since up until Patrick Mahomes? Or let's see, LSU. Huh? What's their last good quarterback? Well, I don't know, but Joe Burrow is pretty good. Stop it. Stop.
Does that make you feel better? Get that
God.
off your chest.
When's the last time, Tennessee, they've only had one quarterback, right? Any college can have a good...
Josh Dobbs is pretty good. All right?
That argument is the dumbest. When people say that, I'm sorry, Kemp. I understand you're a smart guy, but that is a dumbass take. Sorry.
I think he called you stupid. I think that's what he did.
That's a stupid take. That's the dumbest argument you can make.
There's some validity in scout the player, not the helmet.
Look, a quarterback.
When's the last great linebacker to come out of Texas A&M?
Carson Wentz went to a Division II school. Trey Lance is going to be a first-round pick, probably a top 10 pick. Is coming from a Division II school.
The same school.
So, what? Like Clemson, when's the last? Like Clemson, they got Deshaun Watson. When's the last time they had a quarterback before that? And now they have Trevor Lawrence. It changes. Stop it. Sure. The greatest quarterback of all time came from Michigan. When's the last time there's been a good quarterback coming out of Michigan?
I don't know.
It's been a while, right? It changes. The future greatest of all time, hopefully, Patrick Mahomes. Texas Tech. Have you ever heard of a quarterback coming out of Texas Tech?
When's the last great running back to come out of CU other than Philip Lindsay, right?
When's the last good player to come out of CU? I don't know.
Well, that was rude. You didn't have to do that. You didn't have to do that. That's what you do.
I'm
You just
just
alienate our listeners. There goes all of our CU Buff listeners. Sorry,
yeah.
Taylor.
Oh well. Okay. I guess Taylor's the only one.
Yeah, we have a whole crop, like one, maybe. All right.
Makes
Yeah,
me
I
angry.
don't think Vaughn will be.
I hate that take. No,
But I'm very
Vaughn is not.
excited. Part of me, see, this is just how I have issues. This is how vindictive
I want
I
Vaughn
am.
to go to Kansas City though.
Oh, you're just weird. But I'm part of me that would like that situation because all the fans that were like, "You can't ask him about his future." Ugh. Watch, those are going to be the same fans that are in his mentions saying, "You traitor!
Oh yeah.
You suck! You are never good." It's
Yeah.
going to be the same fans because it happens every year. It's the same fans that did that to Chris Harris last year when he went to the Chargers and bashed him. Like, I don't think fans understand. Like, equate it to real life, okay? You're in a relationship with somebody and then you break up with them and then you're mad because of who they decided to date next. You don't get to choose who they go to next. Like that, it doesn't work like that. Okay, so part of me is just very eager to see that happen because I know it's going to be all the same fans.
Yeah, I mean, if Vaughn was smart, he'd want to leave too. Go to Green Bay, go to Tampa Bay, go to Kansas City, maybe wherever Deshaun Watson goes.
Rashawn Salem. Kemp, I'm trying to pump up Philip Lindsay. Can you just let me have my moment, please? I have to work with Brandon, who hates Philip. No,
I don't hate
he won
him.
the Heisman like 74 years ago. Did it really count at that point? He was probably playing against janitors. I know he played in the 90s. Please don't get ignorant of me. Just let me love Philip for once, please. This is probably going to be my last year with him. I'm very emotional about it.
I wish it was already over.
I hate you. All right. Do you have anything else on Vaughn, or are we done today?
No, I hope Vaughn wins the Super Bowl next year with whatever team he chooses.
Yeah. Wait, what? You hope he wins the Super Bowl with whatever team he chooses?
Yeah, go out, win.
I mean,
You
as
got
long
your
as it's
money.
not Kansas City.
I don't care if it's Kansas City or not.
Well, you also rooted for
Look,
Kansas.
here's my mindset. They're gonna get theirs. They're gonna win a ton of them. They're gonna get to a ton of them. So why am I gonna be all in a pissy mood when they do it every time? I don't really want to be in a pissy mood 10 out of 15 years.
Well, yeah, but you defected to the other team. There's a difference.
I'm gonna enjoy watching them
and joining them. I'm gonna call you Kevin Durant. That's who you are.
I'm gonna enjoy watching them.
You're just a regular Kevin Durant.
I also didn't want Brady to win 7. It just pisses me off that he got 7. Although him being drunk at the parade wasn't and throwing the Lombardi trophy was the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my life.
And his daughter in the background saying, "Daddy, no."
Yeah. No, that made me a Tom Brady fan. That was awesome. Yeah. Also, did you see the Anthony Edwards dunk last night?
Yes, that was that poor Watanabe, and he's like the first Japanese-born player in the NBA, and I'm like, that's what they get to remember him by now. Like Japan is like, yeah, like man, that's what we get. His face too, when they were doing like the separate screenshots of his face, I was just like, man, that's rough. That was bad. And he glided up there too. I mean, it was like an elevator.
I'm 50% Japanese. I think it's absolutely hilarious, but that's just I think I'm just different.
Your countrymen.
But no, that was
Benedict Arnold.
Anthony.
It's a traitor.
Anthony Edwards, the dude can fly. If he could have any effort or shoot the ball at all, or maybe pass the ball, like if he did actual basketball things too, that'd be nice.
Yes, Kemp, we can trade Brandon to Kansas City.
I don't want to live in Kansas City.
Gosh,
I barely want to live here right now. This weather sucks.
Golly, it's all he does is just root for. If Brandon was in World War II, he would have walked up outside of the trenches and went to the other side and led them to your trench and had you killed.
No.
That's what he would have done.
Look, I'm a
Traitor.
Broncos fan first. When they play Kansas City,
Are you?
obviously I want them to
you
win.
Can't. You lost those cards. You're a free agent now. Just because your team lost in the Super Bowl, you can't come back now.
Look, if the Broncos get Zach Wilson,
Nope.
I will be the biggest Broncos fan in the world.
I'm gonna put out a poll on Twitter asking
You
what
already
does
did.
Brandon have to do to earn his Broncos.
By the way,
fan-
when you put out that first poll, I voted to kick me out too.
Yeah, well, you should have been voted off the island. Walk the plank, traitor. Dive off into the sharks.
Hey, you know what?
What
It all
tonight?
backfired, so no big deal. Kansas City lost.
Actually, maybe we should be thinking. Maybe, did you think about this, Broncos country? Maybe Brandon fell on the sword for us. Maybe he stepped out and took that hit to be the jinxie cat for Kansas City. Did you think about that?
Honestly, I do think I jinxed the hell out of them.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I think that's what you probably did.
Yeah.
But you also rooted for them the year before and they won. So
No, I wanted a fun game. Was I rooting for them against him? I don't think I was
said.
rooting for them. I just thought they would win.
No, I remember you specifically saying in that movie theater room that you guys have at your parents' house, which is awesome, by the way. You were like, I want the Chiefs to win.
Oh, okay.
And
Well,
was
then I
like,
was
well,
rooting for them.
you're a terrible person.
Hey, I guess I did
So-
root for. I don't remember, but I mean,
Yep.
and when they're in the Super Bowl next year, I'll root for them again.
You're a disgusting person. You're disgusting.
Even if they were to somehow beat the Broncos in the AFC Championship game, I would still root for the Chiefs in
Okay,
the Super
yep.
Bowl.
No, you can never come back. You're banished. You're banished. You're completely go be a Chief fan now. That's what you are at this point. You after saying that, you can never come. Like I toe the line of being more negative Bronco fan, but that gone. Yeah, weakest link has kept goodbye. Yeah.
funny.
When you know what's going to happen? When we get Trevor Lawrence and we start winning Super Bowls again, you're going to be Squidward locked in your room looking outside, and I'm going to be SpongeBob running around with the rest of Broncos country with my arms up, and they're Patrick, and we're going to be having fun.
Well, you know what? Trevor Lawrence would fit in Denver. He wouldn't leave at the Super Bowl.
As long as we let Philip Lindsay carry us there, we'll get one. So,
Yeah,
That's how it'll
it was Tampa Bay's year. It just seemed to all click last second.
yeah. But that was a great Super Bowl,
Yeah.
though. It was a good Super Bowl. Even though, Kansas
It was
City got
boring.
obliterated.
It was
was fun.
boring. I barely watched it. The
I loved it.
commercials also sucked.
I don't know why, but I got so happy when that touchdown happened between Gronk and Brady. It just felt right in my soul.
It did feel right. It did.
It was weird, but I just felt happy. I was like,
Alright.
yes.
Let's end this thing. I got wedding stuff to do.
All right. That's gonna do it for us today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for Kemp for interacting with us on Twitter
By the way, stop using that take.
or on.
Well, when's
YouTube.
the last time this school had a good quarterback come out? Stop
You're
using that
still
take.
on that? All right.
It's a dumb take.
For Kansas City Chief fan Brandon Stoll, I am Stephen Priest. We are banishing him to the quantum realm, and that's where he will broadcast for the next Behind the Glass Sports podcast.
Speaking of Quantum Realm, have you been watching WandaVision?
No,
Oh, well, you should. It's really good.
it's just nothing about it looks intriguing.
First 3 episodes, meh. It's really good. Watch it. All right.
I just wasn't. Yeah, I don't know. I'll tag you in this.